Just as we jump into today's episode, I'd like to make sure you're in the right space in two different ways. Firstly, in the right location space. This is an episode not for little ears. While I'm with Victoria from the Safe Kids Project, and she's all about making hard conversations easy, we're having conversations as adults, so it's not really one for little ears. And number two, making sure you're in the right space emotionally and mentally. We're going to be talking about some hard topics such as sexual abuse and grooming, which Victoria makes things really easy to talk with your kids, but I know it can be really triggering in lots of ways. So if this is something that does trigger you or you do find it hard, stop listening, find someone to listen to it with you, or find the support you need. Otherwise, let's get into it for today.
I really acknowledge that this is a hard or could be a hard and difficult conversation. And my message and my platform, it doesn't have to be that way. We can make this really natural. We can make this easy by things that we teach them every single day.
So here I've got Victoria, who is the Safe Kids Project. You may have seen her on Instagram or on Facebook. What I'm really excited today is she's going to be telling us a little bit about how she started the Safe Kids Project and also how we as parents can ensure our kids are safe. So how did you start the Safe Kids Project?
Yeah, so great question. I have been a psychologist for 8 years now, and I originally worked in education before shifting into the sexual abuse, sexual harm space. I was really lucky to have an opportunity to work for a nonprofit organisation here in New Zealand where we really focused on reducing harm in the community. And through that, I guess I fell into the work and I enjoyed the work, and I still do feel really privileged to support people on that journey. It's such a big healing journey for them, and so I'm really grateful to hold that space and provide that support. So I'd been doing this work for a while, which was supporting those who had been sexually abused, as well as working with young people who had engaged in harmful sexual behaviour towards others. And this is where the sort of passion or the drive to change into more of a preventative space came from. So I was working with a young boy. He was around 14. He had experienced sexual harm himself and then went on to harm his siblings. And this work was never new to me. It wasn't something I hadn't done before. But there was a session where he was explaining his intentions with somebody that he had met online. And it was this gut feeling. And my whole body was like a wave of panic. And I did just think that something has to change. And it was because I was pregnant with my first child. And I just had this wave of fear for the first time in my career that actually this could happen to somebody I love. And yeah, it changed my whole sort of trajectory of my career and what I do now. So I continue to see clients and children and young people who have experienced sexual harm. But I created the platform, the Safe Kids Project, to teach and encourage parents and caregivers to empower their children about their body so that they can keep them safe. I have a belief that we can never determine or control who comes into our child's life, but we can give our children the tools to keep themselves safe or reach out if they are not safe or something's happened to them. Yeah, it's been a real, I guess, merging of my life from my career and motherhood, and it really pushed me in a direction where everything I teach my children, every parent should have that knowledge. And so I have the platform to spread that knowledge and help parents feel confident to have conversations and make it a really natural part of a child's development.
That is so important. I feel like there's so many of us as parents, mums particularly, but dads as well, where you've got this career and this life before you have your children and you're just going along and then you get pregnant and you have this child and this whole world opens that you didn't realize was actually out there, and you're realizing I'm actually part of it and my children are part of it, and how can we do this well for them? And then as they get slightly older and they've got play dates and they go to daycare and school and they've got all these things where you physically can't actually protect them anymore. And this is absolutely fantastic and so important what you're teaching. And how I came across Victoria was first her Instagram, the Safe Kids Project, and then I've been completing her course about body safety, and it's absolutely tops. I cannot talk about it more and I cannot recommend it highly enough because I'm a teacher and I've done a lot with kids camps and other things with kids for years. And with it, what I've really discovered is I thought I had a really good foundation, but from what Victoria's course teaches, I've just been able to build on. And her courses are aimed at the younger to mid-primary age. So my kids are currently 1.5 and 3, nearly 4. Perfect to start at this age. That's probably one thing I really realized is that they're actually not too young to start. the sad thing is they're probably too old to start at the other end. You really want to start young. So with that, Victoria, if there was 5 things that would put you out of a job that parents would be able to teach their kids, what would they be and how would they go about doing it?
Yeah, great question. And thank you for sharing about the course. And I'm so grateful to have people like you that are doing it and enjoying it and getting that confidence and empowerment to have these conversations. I feel so, so privileged to be doing this. So if you were to put me out of a job, the first thing would be to make it really natural. I'm not the one for difficult conversations or awkward conversations. I truly believe that we need to weave body safety into a child's early development. That is my number one thing. So we teach children how to cross the road. We teach them how to wear a helmet when they ride a bike or a scooter. We teach them how to brush their teeth. These are all things that are keeping their body safe, right? But we don't teach them how to keep safe from other people or relationships or interactions. And I think as parents and caregivers, we have this belief, and often it's because of our own upbringing and maybe the lack of education we received when we were younger, but we can't do it. I don't know what to do. I'm going to get it wrong. I feel overwhelmed. What if I say the wrong thing? What if I impact my child's innocence? And I do believe this is because we don't have a template of how it looks, because generationally, this hasn't been a conversation. And so I really acknowledge that this is a hard, or could be a hard and difficult conversation. And my message and my platform, it doesn't have to be that way. We can make this really natural. We can make this easy by things that we teach them every single day. So that's number one. Weave it into their early development, and we'll get to how to do that.
Completely agree with that. And it's one thing I really found through first seeing some of the posts on Instagram and then doing your course. I never thought of body safety as a continuum like that. Of course, I teach my kids how to be safe. We go biking a lot, so they know they've got to wear their helmets and then their sunglasses, particularly for summer, but also got some lighter ones for winter. And that repetitive, put it on. If they take their sunglasses off, they've got to go on again. If they're not wearing their helmets, they can't go on their bike. I never really thought of that being a part of the continuum of body safety. And then for me as an adult, I guess what I see is taboo. The kids can talk about anything when you're talking about vulva, scrotum, bodies. It's nothing that's taboo for them or out of the ordinary. It's only us that make it. And so actually being able to bring that into everyday talk has just been eye-opening for me and normal, natural. There's no awkwardness or shyness and there's no embarrassment from my son. It's just conversation. And so being able to start at this age has just been so foundational, so pivotal. Okay, so that's number one. So what's your number 2?
Number 2, which you segued really nicely into, is start early, like as early as possible. I feel like there's a saying, the best day to plant a tree was yesterday and the next is today. Same concept when it comes to body safety education. Start now, start today, because the younger a child is, the more likely they don't find it awkward. They don't find it weird. It's just a normal part of their development, like you said. So my children have always and will only ever hear from us the correct anatomical words for their body. And so this is meant in situations, people have used nicknames for private parts, and my daughters had to say to me, like, Mama, what's a willy? I don't understand. And what is that? And so that's when I explained that we have different names, but the correct names are these parts of our bodies. And in terms of anatomically correct labels, the importance here is that the research shows that children that use anatomical labels for their private parts are less likely to be targeted for harm, and also they're more likely to be believed if something does happen to them. And in my professional work, I have experienced this, where children haven't been able to articulate in the correct anatomical terms what has happened to them, and therefore there have been no repercussions, charges for those people that did that. So that is something I'm really big on, and why early development and starting as early as possible is key, because then it's really normal for your child. There's no shame, there's no stigma. This is actually just their body, and this is how it is. Yeah. So number 2 is start early, really early.
Yeah. As I said, I didn't realize how important it was. I've taught a lot in the junior school, and we do Keeping Ourselves Safe, which is a police program. And there's a lot about body safety and talking about the correct anatomical parts of your body there. But I find at 5, there's a lot of unteaching. And in my mind, you just started teaching them. Again, it's not until you have your own kids, you're like, they can be taught right from those early nappy changes. And it's that permission giving and that talking to them all the way through. So just, yeah, again, it's amazing. You've got these young kids and they're sponges. They're ready to learn. And so why don't we just talk and teach and make it normal and natural? Because saying I'm looking forward to the birds and bees talk is probably not the right way, but I feel like because I've started this conversation already, it's not going to be this big in your face, scary conversation when we get there. I'm looking forward to, because Victoria in the course has said she's going to make a birds and bees. So I'm going to hold you to that. But it's something that's not actually as scary, because just having these normal conversations already, I think this will segue into our older children's life, just making it so much easier. Okay.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, can I add on to that one as well? Is that if we create these open spaces with our children where we talk about these things in a really safe, healthy, age-appropriate way, we give the message to our child, you can talk to us about this. Whereas if we don't even start the conversations till 16, it's too late. Our children need to know, actually, my mum and dad or my caregivers, they are safe people that I can go to, because from a really young age, they've been open and transparent with me about this topic. And the statistics in New Zealand is 1 in 3 females and 1 in 6 males will experience some form of sexual harm before adulthood. And so we have to be really mindful of how long we leave those types of conversations. And I know we've spoken a lot in the course about it, that children will learn about that side of life, either from their parents, their peers, or pornography. And it's really important for us as parents that we take this opportunity to teach them, because otherwise they will get that information from somewhere else. And I also know from my professional work that is not a space we want our children to be learning from. So starting early with body safety, I'm not saying when children are young that you need to have any conversations around sex or anything like that. It's around their body, because this is that stepping stone, that foundation to those future conversations that will also keep them safe as they get older.
So can you say those stats again about how many kids get abused with girls and boys?
Yeah, so it's 1 in 3 females and 1 in 6 males. And the most alarming part of the statistics here in New Zealand is 90% of the people that harm are known to the victim. So they're the family members, coaches, teachers, friends. It's unfortunately and alarmingly that it is people known to the child, which is why the idea of stranger danger education is just no longer a thing. We're not focusing on that. And if we focus on stranger danger education, we're putting our children at risk, because there's only a 10% chance that it's somebody that they don't know. It's actually those that they know and sometimes love that hurt them.
Every time I hear that stat, the first time it just hit me in the face. And I don't think it ever will stop hitting me in the face, because I think about my own kids, I think about my nieces and nephews, I think about our friends, and I'm like, that's alarming. That really, it scares me. Which is why I think this is so important. And I've said in podcasts before, one thing I'm really keen on is us raising our teenagers. And while I love this age, I love my kids, I'm not trying to make them into teenagers. My goal for parenting and loving my kids and teaching them well is so that when we're teenagers and when they're young adults, we've actually got this continued relationship where we can talk about things and we're safe together and we enjoy each other's company. And I think this, again, is such a foundational part. As you've said, abuse can happen at any age, but the more you let go and they get out into the world, the more chances there are, because you're not physically in their space. And so by prepping them now, by encouraging them, by building these relationships, by being open in these conversations, we're really supporting our relationships with our teenagers and supporting their safety in their teenage years as well. I can't say enough how important this is. Like, it's foundational, as you say. Okay, next one.
All right, number 3 would be, this is more of a tip of like how to start to weave it into your everyday child's development, is letting your child decide how they greet other people. This is such a big thing in our house, and it will be for the rest of our children's lives. So we always tell our children that you get to choose how you interact with somebody. So as a family member's coming around or friends are coming around, we take a quick moment. I'd pull my daughter aside. She's almost 4. And I say to her, this person's coming over. Remember, you get to choose how you say hello to them. In the course as well, there's a printout, and you can make this at home and get really creative. But it's like high five or a fist pump or a wave or just saying hello, or do you want to cuddle and kiss? And the main reason that we let our children decide how they greet others is teaching them that their body is theirs to make choices about. So we don't pressure, say my mum comes round, I wouldn't ever say to my daughter, you need to give Nanny a hug. Or if somebody asks for her for a hug from our family or friends, I always pause in that moment and just remind them, my daughter will decide how she greets you. And the main reason here is we want children to start to listen to their gut, listen to their instincts and what feels right for their body and feel safe to communicate it. So I always encourage you to talk to the people that are in your child's life. And if they want to give them a hug, I always say, first, what we're doing in our house. So we're letting my daughter decide how she greets other people, and you can follow it up by the why. So we're just teaching her to listen to her body. And in order to do that, she needs to be able to share with you what feels comfortable, and always giving our children, my son's too little at the moment, but praise when they make the decision. So there's no embarrassment or fear around what feels right. Actually, they just get to feel right and express it. So yeah, body autonomy and teaching a child that they have the rights over their body can seem, I guess, a little bit daunting. Like, how do I do that? My suggestion to you is actually just let them decide how they say hi to somebody. And it doesn't mean that you don't encourage your child to say hello to people. We still have manners in our house, and you get to decide how you say hello, but you do still say hello. That is the polite thing to do. But yeah, they have the choice on who they let into their personal space, and focusing on greetings is a really simple and easy way to start.
What I really love about that is something that I've really learned is the front footing with the visitor. This is what you're doing, because I found it before knowing about the whole just front foot it, how you're doing things, is we'd have someone come round and they'd be like, oh, why won't you give me a hug when you're leaving? Oh, they're being really shy. Oh, come on, you hugged me last time. And then I get this real awkward, like, oh, maybe you should go give them a hug. And I'm like, no, we need to continually assert their own assertiveness in this. And so the front footing is really important. And this is where, again, it can be a generational change. There's the expectation that you give a hug when you come and a hug when you say goodbye, maybe if that's your culture, or a high five, or just however you naturally greet. If your child's uncomfortable, sometimes we just say they're allowed to just give a wave and then walk away. That's fine. For some people, it seems really rude, but for in that moment, that's what that child does. The next time they might run into their arms and want to have this big pick-up cuddle. So it's just what they need on that day. And some days, I know with me, after work, after being with people, you can be really drained in so many ways. So actually listening to your child is so important.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, you've given us a lot to think about with those first three. So hit us with number 4.
So number 4 would be how to teach your child consent in a really natural, normal way. So this is about modeling to your child consent, which is, hey, darling, would you like a hug? Listening to their response and then respecting whatever it is. In that moment, your child might be like, yeah, no, like I'd love a hug. Or actually, no, I don't want one right now. And it's for us to start these conversations and start to show them what it looks like to have consent. My daughter's coming out 4. I specialize in this area. I've never told her what the word consent is or permission or anything like that. I'm simply showing her every day in our interactions. So anything that really involves physical touch, I recommend asking beforehand, listening and respecting as that sort of framework. So this is things like hug or physical affection, things like helping your child get dressed or in the shower. So it can be as simple as, hey, would you like to dry your body or would you like mum to? Something like that, just to start those conversations happening. And another big one when it comes to this is when you're playing with your children, which I think is relevant for your podcast, tickling, rough play, anything like that, pushing your child on the swing. If they say stop, listen immediately, stop whatever it is that you're doing. And the reason for that is you're saying to your child, I'm listening, I'm hearing you put in a boundary, and I'm going to respect that. And that's modeling to them, okay, this is how people should treat me in a relationship. So maybe when they are 18 and they meet a partner and they use the word stop, they know that stop should always be respected. So yeah, this idea of consent doesn't need to be scary or that your child has control over you or anything like that. Actually, we're just taking opportunities for them to make choices, again, about their body and show them that it always should be respected.
And that's so important for us. The word stop we've made really important in our house. And that's something we really continue through. And I do find sometimes I'm out and a kid says stop and the adult keeps doing things because they think it's funny, especially seeing a lot on Instagram reels where there's these parents tickling their kids and their kids are saying stop and laughing and they keep going. I'm like, stop. I've said stop. So it's so important that we model this behavior. We're showing the kids that when they say stop, we will listen and that they expect them from others and then they'll do it themselves. Okay, so we've done our 4. What would be the last thing? If you were to be put out of a job because all parents, we were teaching body safety so well, what would you say?
I would say make sure your child knows the difference between a secret and a surprise. So this one is really big for me, and it comes really from a grooming perspective. As part of the grooming process, grooming is when somebody that has more power or authority exploit somebody younger through a slow, not necessarily younger, but more vulnerable, which often is age, through a process in which they warm that person up to the behavior. That's not an abuse or something that happens right away, but instead they build trust and they get a connection and a relationship, and then they engage in the harmful behavior or the abuse. What we want to do when we have the conversation around secrets and surprises is we are cutting that part of the grooming process, because they're trying to build trust. What they do is they test boundaries, and that can be really simple things like, hey, don't tell mum that I got you an ice cream today. And what that person will then do is start to watch, okay, did they tell mum that they got the ice cream? No, they listened to me. Great. That's a first step. I know that I've built a little bit of trust, starting with really novel things like gifts or ice cream or lollies can eventuate into things a lot more devastating and damaging. So having your child know that a secret is something that we keep and it never gets shared with anybody, versus a surprise, which is something that we withhold the information for a little bit, but then eventually we share. So we want surprises. Surprises are great, celebrate them, have fun with them, but we have a no secrets policy. So we don't even keep little secrets in our house. I would never say to my child, or maybe I have and then I've caught myself because that's how we were raised and it wasn't a thing then. Oh, here, have this before dinner, but don't tell Dada. It's just a really natural thing that comes out. But actually catching myself or sharing that with clients or people that are taking the course, that actually we're saying to our child, it's okay to keep information from your parent or your safe person. So we want to cut that completely. And we have a no secrets policy, and that is purely so our children know that there's nothing that they keep from adults. And for them, it's really hard. Like my daughter's almost 4. She doesn't know if there's a good secret or a bad secret. She has no idea. Oh, I've been allowed to keep that secret with Nanny when she bought me popcorn, but can I not keep it with that person? So we have to be really clear and almost take out any grey area for our child and make it black and white. Here, no secrets, we do surprises. And the way that I naturally weave this conversation is when things pop up about surprises. Oh, it's Nanny's birthday. Oh, should we make her a surprise cake? Remember, a surprise is what somebody will find out, and things like that. My daughter's made comments before about when she bought her brother a birthday present. She said, oh, we're going to keep it a secret. And I was like, perfect. She segued for me nicely to then have the conversation that actually we don't keep secrets in our house. And I later found out she went to kindy and made sure that none of the other children were keeping secrets. So proud mum moment. But yeah, it's not about sitting them down and saying, this is how it is. It's the natural part of it. She brought the conversation up around secrets. Great. How can we talk about it? Finding those teaching moments for body safety, is really important. So number 5 is know the difference between secrets and surprises and no secret policy.
As you were saying, I was thinking about the whole catching yourself out, because I've definitely done this recently where I thought we were doing pretty well with having no secrets, only surprises. And then my youngest was having his midday nap and it was a stupidly hot day. So I was like, let's have some ice cream. Don't tell your brother. And they're like, no, that's not what we do. Weaving my way around that. And what I love hearing through this as well is that everything's age appropriate, that you're doing it for those ages that they're in. It's not that you're teaching them these big things now and it's too big for these little people to carry. It's actually just what they need timely as they go through. And then it's following their lead. It's, as you said, when she said about a secret, you're like, perfect, I can weave this in naturally. It's not a big sit down, get out the book and talk about everything and make it really awkward. It's just everyday life, which is so good. So with all of this, I know that if I was listening to it for the first time, I'd be like, oh my goodness, I've got so much to do. Where do I go from here? So I've said that I've taken your course. So can you tell us a little bit about your course in case anyone is interested? And just letting people know, if you do the course, I've got a discount, which is Play Schema 10 for 10% off. I'm going to say though, I don't actually care if you use it or not. Like, I would like you to do it whether or not. I do get a little cut if you do it, but do the course. I'm saying this because this course is so important. So make sure you even just look into it and think more about it. So tell us a little bit about the course.
Perfect. Thank you. Yes, you definitely should join, everybody. It's great. Yeah, so I have a 6-week program and it is designed for very busy parents. So there is very short video lessons where I break down the real complex ideas into very easy to digest information so that you feel, okay, like I truly understand that concept. And then the other key part of it is for every video or concept I talk about, I provide you with an implementation activity. And this is something that you can do alongside your child. So firstly, you learn the information, which gives you that confidence to be able to talk to your child about it. And then I give you an activity to do alongside your child so that you take the information you learn and you can pass it on in a really age-appropriate, safe, cool, calm, fun, engaging way. And also on top of that, for every video and activity, I have a small shift. So this is a change in how you talk, so your language, your mindset, or your behavior, that as soon as you finish watching that video, you can implement it with your child. My course is all about making body safety normal, natural, easy. And so I give you all of the tools in order to do that. So you walk away with the knowledge, but also the way that you can implement it really seamlessly into life. So it is a 6-week program. Every week you get access to me. We do a live Q&A for an hour or so, and you can jump on and ask any questions that you like. And it doesn't matter where you're at. If you haven't finished the weeks that you had wanted to, it doesn't matter. It's a really safe space with other parents to come on, talk about what's been going on. And this is really important for me, to not give people a course and say, here you go, have at it, because you likely weren't given this growing up. And so I'm there to hold your hand and support you and say, I've been through this, I'm doing this, I'm living this. You have the support of me through it. So my next course is starting on the 1st of May, and you can enroll or sign up to my waitlist through my Instagram. I have a link in the bio. You click on that, add your details in, and then I will email you out space and what's available. And yeah, I'm so excited. I have quite a few people signed up already for the May course. So if it is something you're interested in, jump on.
And if you're listening to this after that May date, don't worry, because there are wait lists that open all the time. And so you can join the wait list for the next course, which I think the courses will just get better and better. I think doing the lives have been really important and really exciting too. Just being able to get in with some other parents and being able to talk. And the lives are done at different times as well. So no matter what time zone you're in, there hopefully should be 1 or 2 that you can make. And then, as you said, you don't need to feel guilty about not doing the whole course and being right up to date when we have these live calls. It's just about anything. And a tip, if you do what I've been doing, is kind of listening to them like a podcast. How it's set out is you can look through some PDFs so you can see what the slides are and what the small shifts are, and then I'll just put it on to listen to her talking. So I've already seen the slide while I'm doing the dishes, while I'm walking to get my kids, while I'm in the car in my headset, so that you can just weave it into your everyday life. Because as you said, it's been designed for parents like us who are busy, who are doing things, who've got kids at home, we go to work. So being able to weave it in, like we weave in the natural talk, has been really important and really good. What I'll also do is add the links into the show notes. And if you go to placegamers.com/safe, I'll make sure everything is there too. So thank you so much, Victoria, for your time today. I know that I've really enjoyed talking to you. I know that everyone listening will have had their eyes open and hopefully got some new tips and strategies to put in their pockets to take through with their kids. Make sure you do go have a look at her Instagram, look at what her program is if you're interested. And if you feel like you've got this all under your belt, send it to someone else who you think would be really beneficial to have this. I know for me, there's a couple of people I'm thinking I should gift it to because I'm like, you need to do it. Everyone needs to do it. So thank you so much, Victoria. And I look forward to seeing you on Instagram and seeing you later on too. See you later.
Awesome. See ya. Thank you so much for having me. I've absolutely loved it.
Awesome. Bye.
Bye.